Hello YouTube, welcome to this special video of me just going over my what I decided to finally do for my next projects. As you can see, I've got my Waterloo companion in front of me, so I can show you the armies or the divisions and brigades and stuff that I picked. On top of that is a couple of sort of side projects, one of which of course is finishing off my my 11th cavalry division, but of course that's practically done because I only really need to pick up some artillery, finish off one more regiment of dragoons, and then get some command figures. Also, I've got something rather special to show you towards the end. I don't know if it will interest everyone, but I think it's pretty interesting, and I'll try and keep that in towards the end. And also, just out of the blue, I pulled out my old Frostgrave figures, because originally at one point I was kind of building up a couple of little Frostgrave war bands to play some Frostgrave, but of course in classic style I collected everything, more or less everything that I needed to start playing, and then my interest in it kind of fizzled out, but I always quite liked the figures that I did. I think they came out really cool, so I might slip those in towards the end just to put some sort of miniature based content into this particular video. So let me start by going into what I'm doing next. So quick background is, of course, as you probably know, when I finished my original two projects, I was kind of at a loss of what to do, and I kind of thought, well, maybe I should do some guest units, you know, just like, you know, the odd unit here, the odd unit there, but I kind of went off that idea quite rapidly, and I decided, well, you know, I might as well try and do another couple of, you know, if not entire divisions, maybe a few brigades, you know. So the first thing that I've decided to do, because I always wanted to add some Imperial Guard to my unit, is I'm going to do a brigade of Imperial Guard. And they're going to be basically the Grenadiers, the first division of the Foot Grenadiers. So if we look at the setup of these guys, now from what I can believe is that they're basically two giant battalions of over 1,000 men each, and they basically fielded them as two battalions. Now, figure-wise, for these, I'm planning on, so for I suppose for the, well, it doesn't really matter to tell the truth, but for one of them, I'm going to use the box of Victrix that I have on order. Well, box, it'll probably be more like a plastic bag. And I'm going to try and make, well, I should be able to easily make two battalions of guard out of that box quite easily. So basically I'll have two battalions of 24, and I think the second battalion's had Fanians. I'm not 100% sure. I know they didn't have Eagles. For the second battalion, I'm probably going to try and go for metals. Possibly front rank, possibly elite. I haven't really made my mind up yet, but obviously they're not going to be in greatcoats, so I thought I'd have, you know, a nice mixture of the two. For the middle guard, now these guys kind of confused me a lot. I was sort of searching the internet trying to find more information about them. Again, for one of the battalions, it's similar to the old guard, and the fact that it's a larger battalion split into two smaller battalions. So I haven't really 100% decided what figures I'm going to use for these guys, but again, I'm going to try and use at least one battalion of metals, so perhaps I might end up getting Victrix again for the other two. And then obviously they have a couple of batteries of 6-pounders and howitzer, so that should be pretty straightforward, and it'll give me a nice amount of Imperial card to satisfy my thirst. The second project is to do with British cavalry. As you know, my British cavalry are very underwhelmed by the French. They have absolutely they only have 2 units of cavalry. So what I decided to do was looking around. Actually, that's the wrong page. It's over here. I'm going to do now. I didn't really want to do the Union cavalry because I don't really like the idea of having to try and do dappled grey horses. So I decided to do household cavalry. So I'm going to try and do for my British the 1st Household Cavalry Brigade, which is 4 regiments of household cavalry. So that should be quite interesting to do. Now again, I want to try and add metals to these, so I haven't 100% decided, but I think at the moment I'm going to have one box of Warlord, because I know that they have an odd look to them, and I always think the figures look a little bit on the skinny side. But I thought I'll have one box in just to see what they're like, and if I do like them, then perhaps I'll think about getting a second, and then make the last 2 out of metal. Figures wise, I think probably I was looking at perhaps Elite Miniatures for those, because they do actually have a 24 horse pack, which is hellish expensive, but it will actually give me 2 regiments of those guys at once, which would be quite beneficial to actually finishing it. The third possible project is to counteract the Imperial Guard for my French. I was thinking about doing the 1st British infantry, so the Guards division, so basically a whole division of elite British, so British Guards. Now again, this is quite an easy battalion to collect. It's literally just 4 battalions of troops, one of which is a particularly large one. So if we look at the Coldstream Guards here, you can see that both the Coldstream Guards and the Foot Guards behind them are actually very large units. So I was kind of thinking perhaps I'll make those units 36 man, while the others, being a lot smaller, will just be 24. And that would be quite interesting, because I've never actually done a properly large unit before, so that would be quite interesting. So that covers most of the projects that have been on my mind. Now I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to be doing them all at once. I might possibly be doing a couple, along with a few side projects. Now the third, I suppose it would be the second side project. Now Warlord, I suppose about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Warlord announced that they are bringing out some Spanish, resin Spanish. Now I've always, obviously having Spanish heritage, I've always wanted to do something to do with the Spanish. Originally, Black Seas was crossing my mind, but seeming my sort of interest in that has kind of waned off quite a bit, to the point where I haven't even looked at the box set since I got it back in Christmas. I thought, well, no, I think it's all that rigging that kind of turned me off. as much as I love that period of naval history, just the daunting task of having to mess around with rigging kind of almost instantaneously turned me off the idea as fast as my enthusiasm to get it burned inside me. So what I thought I'd do was, utilising those box sets, is have maybe just a brigade of Spanish, just not necessarily for any particular gaming, but just to sort of have them. So I'll probably at some point work on those as another sort of side project, because literally it'll just be, I'll probably get like 3 boxes of the to make like a full infantry brigade, because I believe they have like a first battalion, and then the 2 second battalions, the 2nd and the 3rd battalions, sort of made up differently. Now I was sort of looking around at prices and stuff, and obviously Warlord aren't exactly the cheapest around as usual lately. I believe if one of their offers was to buy 3 box sets for like £69 something, which is only saving you like £2.50. I was looking around and again, I'm sure other places do it too, but I was just looking at Wayland, and Wayland do them for, instead of £25 a box, they do them for like £19 a box. So you can basically get all 3 boxes for like £57. So I might possibly be doing that. Now I don't know anything about the Spanish sort of structure wise, so I'll have to do a little bit of research into that if I try and decide to do a historical brigade, or whether I'll just do like 3 infantry battalions, a unit of cavalry, and maybe a cannon or something, and of course some command figures. So that kind of part's not decided, but the chances are that I probably will do the Spanish at some point, because I really like the look of them. So that is the majority of my waffling out of the way. I've tried to cut it down as much as I possibly could. I was going to go into like a mega rant, but I decided not to. So now I suppose I'll just quickly show you my my refound Frostgrave warbands. Now these guys, I really enjoyed creating them, and I really enjoyed painting them at the time, but I never actually got around to playing a game, and I sort of came across the game by watching videos on YouTube, and I thought this game is really cool. You know, I was always a big fan of Mordenheim. I was always a big fan of Necromunda. And of course the big thing about that was like the way that your gang sort of levels up and gains experience as it goes along. And when this came out, I thought, wow, this is like a sort of rules wise slightly better version of Mordenheim. So yeah, you know, it's quite cheap to get into. You can spend probably less than £20 on a warband. Probably a lot less than that, because you know, the majority of these guys are made up of 1 box of henchmen, which is like less than £20, and then you're literally just talking about the wizards, which are just like, I think they're like £3.50 or something like that for a pack. Now I can't really even remember what type of wizards these guys are. But I'll show you through the warband and try and remember as much as I possibly can. Now I can't remember the exact school of magic that these guys, or type of sorcerers that they are, but I believe this guy is the main sorcerer. I really liked the way that these, when I sort of came back across them, I really liked the way that these guys were painted, the colour schemes and stuff. So as you can see, I also had the sort of the winter-esque bases as well. I think they came out really quite cool looking, actually. So that is the wizard. This is the apprentice, I believe. Again, similar style of of clothing, sort of a little bit of uniformity, you could say. I think these guys could have been illusionists, I think. I'm not 100% sure. But they're great figures. Now the next lot, now this halfling here is a figure from Mantic. Is one of their Kickstarter exclusives for their dungeon crawler game. What's it called? Dungeon Quest, was it? Dungeon Saga. And this is going to be a thief. So I thought, well, you know, I'm not really playing Dungeon Saga anymore. It's again a game that I had for a while. I tried playing, never really got into it, even though I'm a big fan of dungeon crawlers. It never had the level of, you know, because again, one of my favourite games ever was Advanced Hero Quest, and I made up my own sort of house rules, so that not only your warriors gained experience, but also your henchmen gained experience as well. And it was literally one of the funnest games I ever played, and some of the best rules I've ever come up with. And I was kind of hoping that Dungeon Saga would have some of the elements of you know, as far as your warriors levelling up and stuff, as perhaps the over ambitious house rules I had when I came up with my own rules for advancing henchmen and stuff. But all the same, it's quite a cool little figure. I believe this is the thief, or a thief. I thought she fitted the character profile quite well by the way she's out. I mean, I believe the character's supposed to be a thief anyway, so I suppose it fits the bill. And then we have henchmen. So I believe, I'm trying to think of what they actually are. I believe this guy is a knight, just made up out of the henchman set. Simple, very simple. A little bit of a sort of colour scheme again. Snowy base, of course. Then we have two archers. Again, just made out of the henchman set. Really cool set actually. I mean, there's lots of uses you could use these guys for. I believe I actually used a couple of these guys as Anglo-Saxons when I kind of ran out of figures during my Anglo-Saxon army, when I was particularly poor at that point, and I really struggled to sort of collect that army because you know, there's hardly any metals in it at all, apart from perhaps the starter set and maybe one or two packs of sort of foundry, just to add a bit of character to it. But yeah, that's the basic archers, and that was so another couple of henchmen there. And then finally, I think this guy could be an explorer. I'm not 100% sure, but he's kind of kitted out a bit like an explorer, which again is a kind of henchman, a type of henchman within Frostgrave. Again, nice colours, quite a cool figure. Then the second warband. Now I really can't remember the names of these guys, but this particular form of wizard was one of my favourites within the game, and also one of my favourite pieces of artwork from the book. And I really liked the sculpts of these two particular wizards, and again I was really pleased with the way that the figures turned out for these guys. Really cool. Definitely one of my favourite. These two, well, her and her apprentice are definitely my two favourites of all of them. So that is the sorceress, and then here's her apprentice. Again, a sort of a similar colour scheme, and again, I think she's turned out really cool. So that's her. And now going into the warband for these guys. So again we have a knight, and that particular transfer is actually an Italian tank unit, the Ram's Head division, I think. And yeah, quite a, maybe not the best knight figure ever, but quite a good job as a sort of a beginner. Turned out quite cool. Again, I really like the colour scheme I chose for these guys. I tried to keep the colour scheme kind of in line with the sorceress's the clothes that the sorceress was wearing. Then we have a couple of a crossbowman and an archer. So here's the crossbowman, pretty basic, just made out of the henchman set again. But I gave him a back-mounted sword to make him quite cool. And again, a similar sort of colour scheme. Then we have the archer. Now, the arms that this guy used were actually from a Mordenheim figure, like an old school Mordenheim figure, where the body and the head and all the accessory. I think even his quiver's actually from the Mordenheim guy as well. But I really do like that particular position. So again, a cool colour scheme to go in line with the sorceress. And then I believe we have, we have 2 explorers for these guys. So we have this guy here. Again with the rope and the backpack. And then finally this guy, who is, he's kind of one of my favourite plastic figures that came out of this. And he's also an explorer, I believe. And again, he's got a cool shoulder-mounted sword. And he's holding a lantern. And I think the effects on that lantern came out quite cool. And it's just the colour scheme just suits him. I don't really know why, but yeah, I think he came out really cool. It's definitely one of my favourite of the plastic guys. Okay, so that is the end of those guys. Now I'm going to show you the special item that I was telling you about at the start. Now basically there is a story to this, but let me just bring it in first. It's very long. It's basically a sword. Now as you can see, as I bring it in the screen, it's pretty dilapidated. But when I tell you the story of it, you'll see it's actually in really good nick. Now this sword was found many years ago by my father, in Spain, in his home area of Galicia, and he found it with a metal detector, buried 6 foot down in sand on a secluded beach, the sort of beach that only locals would know about. It's you hardly ever find tourists around there. It's because they just basically don't know it's there. Yeah, he basically, the first time he'd retired, he'd been given a sum of money to buy a sort of retirement gift, and he's always wanted a metal detector, so he brought one, and fairly good one as well. Maybe not sort of top of the line, but certainly getting on for a really good middle of the line, the upper end of the middle range. And the very first thing he did was go to this beach and search around, and he found this sword, and it's in absolutely amazing nick for obviously it's being underground for God knows how long. I mean, I've tried to do some historical research on it. I've never really been able to nail anything specific. It does have some detail on the hilt of the sword. If I bring that in, show you. Now, originally when I found this, I was kind of finding things matching those coat of arms in a sort of, you know, the sort of Pirates of the Caribbean sort of era. The sort of 1700s, 1740s, 1760s. But the coat of arms were just slightly different. They basically exactly the same, apart from one corner of the coat of arms. And now, obviously, I was quite young at the time my father found this. You know, I was kind of in my sort of late teens, I suppose. And it never really crossed my mind that it could have been more of a sort of Napoleonic era sword. And I suppose the quality of it could sort of suggest that it's a, you know, a period later, or many periods later. And we're talking sort of the 1800s rather than the sort of 1700s. Now, as you can see, it has a broken top part of the scabbard. It's got a little chunk missing there. But other than that, the scabbard rings are intact and can hold weight. And of course, the only other damage is the wood on the handle here. And you can actually draw the sword as well, so let me do that for you. Obviously the scabbard comes apart when you draw the sword, but I can show you, I'll show you the blade. So I'm not 100% sure what type of sword this is. I mean, I was thinking naval, because it kind of looks like it could be a sort of a cutlass, but it could be a sabre. It could be, I mean, I don't know. I mean, perhaps I can, if I put it on the floor here, I mean, excuse the mess on the floor, because I haven't done any hoovering lately. So try and get that in shot. I mean, don't think I can get it all in shot, but you can see that. So that's the sort of the curvature of the blade going down to the handle there. So now let's bring everything back up again. So yeah, that is the sort of special item that I was going to show you just to finish off this video. So that is more or less it. Like I say, I'm still kind of waiting for the start of it's not really a large amount of stuff, but it's a start. Waiting for it to come in. I'm probably going to start ordering more stuff maybe towards the end of this month, and hopefully in not too long amount of time I'll actually be able to get started. I think the Imperial Guard is going to be the first thing that I'm going to start on, and I haven't really decided whether I'm going to run the British, the first British division, along with the other two projects, with the sort of the cavalry division as well. But we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I have my Warlord box come from the Wayland Order as well. So yeah, that is the end of this video. Now, sorry, it's a little bit sort of piecemeal. I had a plan to sort of stick to, and it all kind of fell apart, and I changed my mind. But yeah, so this is, I'll just give you a close look at this sort of the sword again. There's the coat of arms. It's in really good condition. I mean, obviously it's oxidized, and there's some sort of surface rust, but it's not actually, it doesn't look like it's actually sort of eaten away any of the blade. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I mean, it must be a sabre of some sort, because the blade doesn't even start till up here. I don't know. So that is that, and I'll just put it back into its scabbard for you before we go. You can see obviously the scabbard is in two parts, and what I tend to do is I tend to just hold it together when I put the sword back in. Hold on, all the way around. Here we go. So thank you for listening or watching. Probably a lot more listening than watching. I'm going to go and wash my hands, and we'll call this video to an end. So until next time, catch you all later.